Hey, Kitchen Stewardship fans, Katie Kimball here, and I am honored to host Jen Hansard, author of the brand new Simple Green Meals and famous Rawkstar over at simplegreensmoothies.com. Thank you for being here, Jen.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, Katie. And I will rock on right now with my smoothie just to play it up.
And I have a prop too, because I just got the book in the mail yesterday and I've already been looking through it. In fact, the first thing I did was I said to my kids, look at those pictures. They're so pretty. Like you just want to eat all the food. So we're going to talk today we're going to talk specifically about vegetables and just pumping up your eating, healthy eating, and some super practical tips with Jen. But first, everybody loves a good story. And Jen, I think your story is so inspiring. Can you catch us up on what brought you to become an expert on vegetables? Because you were not always this way.
No, I was quite far from it. Like for me, eating the rainbow was eating a bowl of Lucky Charms. Like that is literally how I thought I was being healthy because I was a vegetarian. And so choosing to eat Lucky Charms instead of meat was honestly what I thought was a healthy choice when I was 18 years old. And I lived that way until I was about 27 years old. And I had 2 kids. It caught up to me. And I think that's something that happens to a lot of us is what we think we can get away with eating a certain way or doing certain things. And for a while it works. But then eventually our body puts out that red flag and says, like, this isn't going to get you through. And for me, that happened when my kids were 1.5 and 3. And we had just moved to Florida to start a church with my husband, who is a pastor. And I was so tired. Like I'm not even joking. Like I couldn't get out of bed in the morning. And my husband would get the kids up. He was the one that fed them breakfast and would watch shows with them and hang out. And I was just miserable. And I was so frustrated. And I felt like this horrible mom because I was just so tired all the time. And I would take naps. And I would drink a lot of coffee too.
Oh, man.
So for me, like Starbucks was my superpower. And like, especially around 2:00 when like the afternoon hits and you're just dying and the kids wake up from their naps and you're like, I still have like 6 hours of the day left. How am I going to do this? So I would rely on coffee, but that even stopped working for me. And so just a lot of things that I thought were okay turn out not to be okay for my body. And also for my kids, they started getting more sick and we had no health insurance and money was really, really, really tight. Like we were so, I don't know if the word's poor, but we were financially unstable to where we qualified for government grocery help. And we were using that to get us through. But my fear was that we were going to get sick because between my exhaustion and just them being little kids where the common cold, the flu, it flies around, everyone gets it. And normally you go to the doctor, but we couldn't afford to. And so how was I going to stop that? And what we did was we learned how to boost our immune systems naturally. And so I went from being the mom who used to think like, what are we going to do when we get sick, to becoming the mom, how are we going to stop from getting sick in the first place? And that mindset alone was the biggest change in my health. And that's really when the vegetables started coming into the picture.
So you were a vegetarian who didn't eat a lot of vegetables, just to clarify.
Yes, literally. Like I don't even know. I wouldn't even say I ate that corn. I would probably eat corn with my considered vegetable. But I did lots of
not really a vegetable.
No, it's a fungus. Yeah, it's not even. So I did a lot of fruits. I did a lot of processed foods that just didn't have meat in them. Lots of Taco Bell bean burritos. Lots of cheese pizza. That was pretty much my life.
Okay, so then what happened with the shift? Because you are not tired all day anymore. I have seen that you are running marathons and literally rocking life here. What happened?
Yes. Yeah, so I went from being trapped in this tired body at 28 years old, 27, 28, with 2 little kids and feeling like I was failing as a mom, to making this shift to starting to drink green smoothies and making them with my kids. And they actually liked how they tasted. And I'm putting like cups of spinach, cups of kale in this smoothie and like watching them gulp it down. And honestly, watching myself gulp it down. And I'm like, this is just radical for me to even be excited about this. And so we kept doing it because we liked how it tasted. We liked how we felt. And eventually our bodies wanted more of that goodness. And so in the beginning, I still ate my Taco Bell. I still had grilled cheese sandwiches, but I had my green smoothie. And my body adjusted to that alone, to where I started craving salads and wanting vegetables. And so we'd shop and be like, well, what if we try that? I mean, cauliflower is not that bad, right? And so we'd try making, like, roasting it and realizing that we actually did like it. And so
awesome.
That is where the energy came from, was like swapping out these foods that were weighing me down, or processed, that were actually making it harder for my body to even get through the day, to filling it with foods that were helping it thrive.
I love that transformation. Like, it's inspiring to people who maybe feel a little tired or aren't getting enough vegetables, that number one, you could make a difference in the way you felt with food. And number two, you could train, you didn't like even train yourself, but like your body decided to like it. It's not painful to eat these vegetables or drink these smoothies.
No. And I think that's the biggest thing is, I mean, I used to diet, like when high school, like Atkins diet got big, and it was like, okay, I want to lose a few pounds. I'm going to make myself eat cottage cheese. Like, and I'm going to say no to the candy, no more Sour Patch Kids. And you do that, but you dread every minute of it.
Yeah.
And it's like torture. And you're always thinking about, like, each meal you eat is like almost like a bad thing. It's a negative thing. Instead of like, where this, for me, drinking that green smoothie was something I looked forward to every single day. And then making these meals with vegetables, by this point, my body wanted it, and I was excited to make it.
So your inception into real food or unprocessed food was the green smoothies. So that's the title, by the way, guys, of Jen's first book and the blog, Simple Green Smoothies. So how did you get from that topic to creating all these beautiful meals in the book, Simple Green Meals?
Yeah, well, it was really my body just telling me it was ready for more. And so the smoothie was the foundation to my day. I always have one for breakfast or for a snack, or today it is lunch as well, because there's a lot going on. I like to say it's the healthiest fast food you can have, because you can blend it and have a clean kitchen in 5 minutes or less. And as a busy mom, that's about all I can handle right now. But so it started with that. But then, like, I mean, I'm not a trained cook at all, but I just got excited to figure out what else could I make taste good, and what flavors could I put together. And it really became almost this challenge for myself to see how many vegetables I could make actually taste good for myself and my kids too. And so we would test things. We would add curry to it. We would do a bunch of seasonings with cumin and like garlic salt and things like that, and realize that, oh my gosh, like, these vegetables aren't gross. Like, we just haven't learned how to prepare them right, or roast them, and what to pair them with to bring out the flavors to where you love it.
Nice. I got to show some pictures here. So first, I do want to say, not every recipe has actual greens in it. Like, just to be clear, it's simple green meals, meaning there's some vegetables or some fruit in every recipe, right? But not always. It's not like green muffins.
No, it's like fresh. Like, for us, simple green just means it's easy, it's fresh, and then the meal is kind of the pulling it all together.
Yeah, so let me show a couple pictures, because I had fun looking through. So this is the Tex-Mex breakfast bowl. Absolutely gorgeous. It does have green in it, but it also has zucchini, orange bell pepper, all sorts of beautiful stuff. And then another breakfast. So, because it's fun, right? Like, when do we get vegetables in breakfast? That's a challenge. You have to be intentional about getting veggies in breakfast, and kids aren't always super excited about it, so you got to season it up. Here's another one, a power packed protein bowl, I think that's called. I forgot. Yeah, power protein bowl.
And we did sun-dried tomato pesto in that one, and that is the most amazing pesto I have ever made.
I want
you can add it. It is so good. It's good on that bowl. It's good at night. Like, I'll just roast it over vegetables or add it to roasted veggies.
Yeah. Very so versatile. Do you, for those breakfasts, I got to ask, because I mean, to cook a big breakfast with like 6 or 7 ingredients, that does take some time. Do you do prep beforehand, or are you just an early riser?
Yeah, well, during the week we do more smoothies. Like, smoothies are our main breakfast. For weekends, I do more of these kind of meals, or I'll do eggs, like smoothies and eggs. That's easy enough. My son actually prefers when I saute spinach into the eggs, which is so funny, because me growing up, I would have been like, do not put spinach close to my eggs. And he's like, Mom, put it in there. It tastes better. So his body like has different taste buds than mine did growing up. So he's yearning for it, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, that is amazing. Now, how old is he?
He is 10 years old.
10. So guys,
So,
take heart. If your 6-year-old's picking the green things out, they can change even, but
yes,
just in a few years. And then, so like what I'm hearing you say is you added not only greens and vegetables, but now you've got eggs in your diet. And I know looking in the
hmm
book, healthy fats, like all of these things give your body the fuel it needed to
yeah.
be more healthy. But why should people focus on vegetables? Or it's often called plant-based eating. Why do we
Yeah.
need more plants wherever we are in our dietary regime?
Yeah, well, I mean, we're supposed to have 5 to 9 servings a day of fruits and vegetables. And a lot of times we try to go for 7 servings of fruit and 2 servings of vegetables because it's always hard to get the veggies in. And that's where the problem kind of lies, is that we're getting too much sugar in our diet. And
Okay,
so
we as
simple,
Americans do more
yeah,
fruit. You mean, yeah, totally, totally.
yeah, and my family too. And so that's the easy one. And so simple green meals was my way of shifting that balance and making it where we're doing 7 servings of vegetables and then the 2 servings is fruit. Like in Europe, they do fruit as their dessert, like a piece of fruit, like a dessert. And that's not what we do here. And so it's important because the vegetables are where our vitamins, our nutrients, the fiber for our digestive system, like all of these things that our body naturally absorbs are found in plants, instead of forcing us to take supplements or vitamins to try to get them into our body, or through enriched processed foods where they add all of these to it, go straight to the source. And for me, that's doing things that are not in a box as much as possible, things that I can buy that don't have a nutrition label on them, because we just know they're not trying to sell you on anything. Like, it's obvious, it's fresh, it's healthy, it's good for you. So those are the things I reach for in this book to really help us at least have our foundation of plants. And then we can add on things on top of it. Like, if you like cheese, I don't do much dairy at all, but some people love dairy. And so I'm saying, start with these meals. If you want a little cheese as a condiment, add it on top. If you need to boost up your protein intake based on your workout, go ahead, add some grilled chicken. But like, we need to really start amping up the foundation of our diet to be more plant.
I agree, because it's pretty much everyone knows how to grill a chicken breast, or
Yeah.
throw a roast in the Instant Pot or the slow cooker. Like, I don't think meats are that hard to come by. Everyone can make taco meat and hamburgers and all those things. But yeah, when you say, well, all right, how are you getting 7 vegetables, different vegetables preferably, in your diet today? A lot of Americans are like, maybe carrots and hummus, maybe, right? Like, we don't have the education. So give us some practical ideas. What are the ways that you learned to cook vegetables that were new to you, that were like amazing on your tongue, or just favorite vegetables that maybe, beyond baby carrots?
Yeah. One of the things that really opened my eyes was roasting vegetables together. So instead of just doing roasted carrots or roasted Brussels sprouts, but fusing different flavors with it. And so Brussels sprouts with fennel and onions roasted together is amazing. So that is the key, is just blending a bunch of different things to layer the flavors, so it really brings it to life. Has changed my world. And I do it where I'll make a big batch of it. And so I can have it for leftovers and reheat it, or add it to like rice or whatever I want to have with it, cauliflower rice even. But making it as simple as possible, but as flavorful as possible too, so that I'm like looking forward to that next meal, is so important to me.
Yeah. Do you use a lot of seasonings or different fats, or is it mostly the vegetables giving each other their flavor?
Yeah. The vegetables give it the flavor, but I do add a little bit of sea salt, and the healthy fats are important. I do avocado oil for roasting, coconut oil. Both of those have been game changers, because they do bring another level to the dish. And I put a lot on there.
Yeah.
I love that we are finally in a world that is like embracing healthy fats, and like have them so accessible and affordable to where you can really load up on it in a vegetable dish.
Yeah, it's amazing. And what I think about cooking vegetables is that you don't always need a recipe, right? So roasting vegetables, turn your oven on to 400 or 450, mix them up with some oil. If you don't know how long they cook, either Google it or just watch it, right? Every 10 minutes. Like, is it turning a little brown on the edges? No, it's not done, right? Like, it's not hard. And that little bit of brown on the edges, that caramelization, adds that layer of flavor, and it's almost sweet, right? Especially if you can train your palate away from like sugary sweet. Oh my gosh, caramelized onions or roasted Brussels sprouts with that little brown is like almost like candy. It is.
The fennel roasted does that too. Like the flavor in the fennel roasted it's my favorite.
I
Like
have
I can
never
just eat that all
roasted
day
fennel. I
long.
love it. I'm going to get
Slice
some
it
next
really
week.
thin. Oh my gosh. But I love anything that tastes like fennel or black licorice. So
That's
that's an
so
easy
good.
win for me. Yeah.
For sure. So
And
let's
then I
end with
think too,
something.
like,
Oh, go ahead.
oh, I was just gonna say, like, I don't want to say like fruits are bad because I freaking love fruit and I do them in my smoothies every single day. But there are some fruits that I think are better for us to start focusing on instead of just going to our default ones that are probably higher in sugar. But avocado is actually a fruit.
Okay.
And so embracing more avocado is going to be good for us. It's high in vitamin E, which is great for our skin.
Nice.
Especially as we age, we need more hydration, more moisture. So it's a healthy
aging?
fat.
Someone's aging around here? No, not you, not me.
Oh man,
Let's fake it.
See, the gray hair, they're coming. They are coming for me. So, so I'm trying to do my best.
Yeah. So like other fruits like coconut, berries.
Yep,
I'm
and
guessing.
berries. Yep. I was gonna say and berries. Like those are the three kind of the realm that I try to stick within. And then the rest are treats or occasional like tropical fruits, which are so delicious, but they're higher in the GI index, which can spike your blood sugars.
Right.
It also makes your taste buds think you need that sweeter taste when you may not actually. So we're kind of trying to eat better so our taste buds get back to a normal level, so we're not craving all those candies that we see at the checkout at Home Depot or Lowe's. That's the worst. When I'm doing a home project and I'm like starving and I'm going there to get some like wood and then they have the Sour Patch Kids to check out.
No.
I'm like, they are dangerous. Like they are trying to like get us to give in and it's worked. Like they have got me. So.
Oh, well, I know, but it's doable for both kids and adults to train your tongue to need less. I know my daughter lately has been asking, can I have frozen blueberries for dessert? And I'm like, well, I guess, sure. You know, like, that's awesome. We're going to talk about vegetables. We're going to talk about kids and vegetables and getting them together because we don't do that enough in America.
I fully agree. We got to really work on this relationship and have them fall in love with vegetables.
Yay! So how many kids do you have and do they eat all the beautiful meals in this book?
Yeah, I have two kids. My son Jackson is 10 and a half years old, or he'd probably say 10 and 3/4 at this point. And my daughter Claire, she is 9 years old. She just turned 9. And they eat the majority of the meals. I will say they don't get excited about some of them, but for the most part, they're a yes.
Cool. Now, what do you do when you make something that they don't like? What's your reaction?
Yeah, well, the rule for us is all the food that I make when I do this is healthy, and so it's good for them. So if they don't want to eat dinner that I serve, then they don't get to have dessert or anything else. So I tell them, even if you don't enjoy the taste of it, it's going to nourish your body, and I still want you to eat it. Because what used to happen is I would say, like, okay, it's okay, go have something else. And then that was their game plan, was like, oh, I don't like dinner, Mom. I'm going to go eat some fruit. And I'm like, no, like, I made dinner. Like, I want you to eat this.
So no other options. What's served is served. I'm assuming, I mean, I'm looking here and there's beautiful side dishes and soups and like breakfast snacks, all sorts of stuff. So I'm guessing usually there's something on the table that they like. Yeah.
Or like they'll get it down and they have to eat most of it. Like I'm not going to sit there till every last bite, but I really do want them to give it an honest effort and a few good bites and get it in to make sure that they really don't like it and not just saying that to get out of it.
Yeah, I like that. Give it an honest effort. Give it a good try. So that may be the answer to this question. Actually, how did you build your kids' broad palates and help them to like healthy food?
It was out of necessity. Like it wasn't something that I just thought would be cool to do. It was something we needed to do because we had no health insurance and we needed to find a way to boost our immune systems and not get sick. And so I wanted them to start eating these vitamins and minerals that are found in vegetables so that we could stop getting sick. And then we could save money in the long run by not going to the hospital.
And when you started Simple Green Smoothies, your kids were little, right? Like under 4. So that's
3
a
and
perfect
1.
time. Yeah, perfect time to like do something new because they won't really remember.
Yeah, and they were a part of it too. Like I really always invited them into the journey with us. And so the first green smoothie I ever made, they were at the grocery store with me and like picking out the spinach and grabbing the berries, and they were a part of it and right there with the blender adding the banana. So I think they just kind of embraced this new direction that we went with us because we did it together. And so my son loves to cook. He's always been with me in the kitchen when I'm making stuff. He likes to help. He loves the knife. Like, that's his thing right now. And he's old enough where I'm like, okay, you could use it. But I'm like so scared.
We need to get our course in your hands. We've got like 4 chef's knife videos.
That would help us.
Because a lot of parents feel like you. They're like, I'm pretty sure you're mature enough. Here's a big sharp knife and I'm dying inside. So yeah, we try to smooth that path. Yeah. Now, do your kids ever
show him? But then when I let him do it on his own, you just never know what's going to happen.
Exactly. Now, do they cheat ever? You had this big adventure as a family with the smoothies and everything, so it's really cool that it's like intrinsic to them. I feel like you've taught them to own it. But what about outside the house? Because that's like the worst for a real food family. Do they cheat out there, and how do you balance that?
Yeah, when they were younger, I was pretty strict on that, where when they would go somewhere, I would talk to parents, I would talk to the grandparents, whoever was with them, and say, like, look, these are foods that are off limits. Like, and I'd pack snacks for them because it was so important to not get sick. And we knew my son, he was sensitive to corn. And so anything with corn or corn syrup, we just had to stay away from. And so I really kind of equipped whoever they were with and the kids to make good choices because it was our health at stake. But as they're older now, he's kind of outgrown that allergy, and I don't want to control him in that way. I want them to be able to own their decisions. And so I let them do what they want to do at this point. And so my daughter was at a sleepover this weekend, and she came home Sunday coughing and so tired. And we went to bed early. She got up for school, and she was just miserable and like couldn't even get out of bed. I'm like, Claire, you have to go to school. And then I asked her, I'm like, what did you eat this weekend? Did you eat a lot of junk food? And she's like, I did, Mom. And I said, this is why it makes you feel like this. Like, the food is what's causing this, Claire. Like, just know. And so I made her go to school, suck it up all day. And she came home and was just like, I can't do that, Mom. That was not good.
Wow. Yeah, to teach kids to connect how they feel in their body or even their mind with like their emotions or behavior, because that's kind of my kids tend to lose control emotionally when they are, either low on sleep or have too much junk food. It's so hard to try to do that in like a kind and gentle way, and just help them understand, but it's a really good lesson for them. It really is.
Yeah.
So now 5 to 9 servings of fruits and vegetables, that's what's recommended. That is hard to do, especially since our kids are getting like so many sources of sugars. How can families get vegetables in outside of dinner? Because it's not as hard at dinner, but I feel like snacks, breakfast, those are challenges. Do you have some tips for us?
Yeah, I mean, I really believe in starting with a smoothie in the morning and adding greens to it or some sort of vegetable base. You can even put cauliflower into your smoothie and it makes it creamy and it doesn't adjust the flavor. So that's a simple way to start your day with some vegetables. Snacks, I mean, there's always the carrot sticks that you can do, which I like to keep on hand. Celery with almond butter is great. I think what else? I mean, it is tricky for me too. Like, it's not an easy thing. What I do for school lunches that is probably going to be helpful for your community too, is I do frozen smoothie popsicles.
Oh, nice.
And so I take whatever's left over from breakfast from the smoothie and pour it into popsicle sleeves and then freeze it. And then it's ready for the next day for them to bring to lunch. So they get that extra dose during that time too. Yeah,
very cool. Very cool. And, I think part of achieving that 5 to 9 servings of fruits and vegetables, more on the veggies, less on the fruits, is just being really intentional. We've been trying to do that. I actually asked my kids, I said, we need to get more vegetables at breakfast because I'm slacking. Like, we kind of, you go in bursts and starts. Like, sometimes you're doing really well, feeding your kids so well, and then other times you're like, they have been fed. They have eaten something. Yay, I've survived. So really, like, summertime is just that survival mode of like, we just got to get something on the table. But I thought my husband and I are eating a lot of vegetables in our eggs, but we weren't forcing the kids to do it. So I was like, how can we get veggies in breakfast? And all they could come up with was smoothies, actually. So we will be having more of those, to be sure. And then, yeah, and then they have to have
That's
some veggies in their eggs. They
like
just
the
have to
egg
deal with it.
scramble. That's a great idea. Like, and you can even do, I don't know if you do sweet potatoes, but we'll do like a hash brown dish with that, dice it up, saute them, and then put an egg on top. And they love that.
Yes, there's a
And you
beautiful
can
sweet
do
potato
kale
dish.
too. Kale's good in there too.
Yep. Oh, my kids
And
love
kids,
kale chips.
I know. Oh, mine too. Like, that was one of the first things. Like, I started with green smoothies, and then the next step was kale chips for me.
Okay.
And then it was over. Then I was like, if I can fall in love with kale, then like I can fall in love with anything.
That's cool. See, okay, look at this. Almond butter swoodles. Look at that beautiful image with all the sweet potato in there. That would be great for breakfast too. I think that's something, like, I asked my kids, I said, would you eat like leftover veggies from dinner or soup for breakfast? My 13-year-old was like, yeah, but no. Like, that's not breakfast food. I
Really?
said, yeah, but it's food. Like, what if we had soup at breakfast? You would survive, yeah? He's like, I don't know. But you can. Like, sometimes you just got to think outside the box. And we're talking kale. You have this beautiful massaged kale salad. We are totally diving into that. I'm going to the farmer's market tomorrow. But yeah, because we've been doing all these kale chips. And it's like, okay, and my 6-year-old, or seven now, 7-year-old keeps saying, can you eat kale raw? I want to try. And he tried it, and he was like,
Yeah.
So I'm excited to tell him that if
the
you play
massaging
with
it, that's where it comes to life. Without that, it's rough. And it's rough on your stomach too.
Okay, and that's a perfect kid job too, is all that stuff where you're just like taking the leaves off the stem and ripping it up and this like massaging. It takes time, but it's repetitive and it's easy, and that's the kind of job that's perfect for any age kid, really. And they love getting their hands in there and playing with food, even, and I would say parents, even if your child is probably not going to eat it, even if you think they won't eat it, even if they've told you they won't eat it, have them help prepare it, because every encounter with food, whether it's you know, physical on the outside or smelling it, serving it, all that stuff, it counts toward their tolerance, and eventually they will taste it, and eventually they'll like it. So just get their hands in there for sure.
Boodles is another great one for the kids to make. When we first started doing sweet potatoes like that, they loved to spiralize them. And the same with zoodles, so zucchini noodles for spaghetti. They make them, and that's really the only way they'll eat them, is if they've helped make it.
Oh, awesome. We just actually did a Facebook Live a few weeks ago on zoodles, so we'll have to link to that from below this video. All right, let's end with something super practical. We are all about baby steps at Kitchen Stewardship. Some people listening might be thinking, like, I'm totally a baby carrot person. She's making fun of me. I'm not making fun of you. It's just real life, and it's okay wherever you are. But what's like one baby step that someone can take to increase the number of vegetables they eat in a day?
I think the easiest is to add them to your smoothie, honestly, because you can pack in so many vegetables. You can do cauliflower, you can do leafy greens, you can put carrots in there and still put it with some fruit and have it be like this quick, healthy breakfast. And blending it makes it so much faster to eat it, and like you get way more serving size that way too than if you were chewing each bite of it. So
that's great.
That's how I start the day, making sure I at least have like a pretty good foundation in my body.
Cool. Speaking of chewing, little tip for smoothies. Saliva does start the digestive process. So, of course, you almost want to chew your smoothie. You want to, like, let it sit in your mouth for a little bit and not slam it like a college student at a party. That's not the way you should do your breakfast smoothies.
No cake stands here.
No. So thank you so much, Jen. Again, we will have links to where you can find Jen, her smoothies, and her new book, Simple Green Meals, anywhere we share this video. Super excited to dig into it and actually cook rather than just drool over the photos. But that is going to be your ticket to getting more vegetables in your day, get some smoothies, and just focus on it. Honestly, just making an intention to do that can make all the difference in the world. Thanks, Jen.
Oh, thanks, Katie.